Hey guys, I want to dispel the myth of the perfect language, the perfect programming language, the perfect coding language. This is something that beginners often do. They're trying to find, and it makes sense, I've done it too. You want to find the very best programming language right now so that you can go out there and build the best apps ever and make a lot of money. Now, it's cool that you want to do this, but the reality of the situation that there's no such thing as a perfect programming language. First of all the top languages today, JavaScript, Java, C#, PHP, Swift, whatever, there's a whole bunch of others. Python. I know people are going to get angry because I didn't mention their language. All the modern programming languages today, they're all very good. They're all very good. They all have their pros and cons. They all have their things that they're good at, they're not good at. And at the end of the day, the language that you choose is largely dependent on your use case. So use case is a fancy word, fancy nerd word that means the case in which it is going to be used, use case. That's what nerds do a lot of times. They want to shorten the sentence so they just reverse the words, say like use case. Anyhow, so each language will have its use case that it's better suited for. So these days, Python is pretty much the go-to language when it comes to AI programming, machine learning. Yes, you can write AI code in R, you can write AI code in JavaScript. I've even seen machine learning AI in PHP, which surprised me, but you could. But the fact of the matter is these days, for whatever reasons, the industry has decided that Python is the language for AI. On the other hand, if you want to do server-side coding, again, you can do server-side web app development in many different languages. It could be Python, it could be C#, it could be PHP, it could be Java, it could be Ruby, it could be Swift nowadays even. Which one you depends on a lot of factors that are not necessarily just technical, because, let me say it again, all these languages can produce good code, good apps. One you choose depends on A, what you want to do, B, what the market is. You know, you may say, I want to write server-side web apps using Swift and the IBM framework that they've provided to use Swift to create web apps, but then you go out there and there's no jobs. What are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? I know people 2-3 years after ActionScript Flash got killed by Steve Jobs and the industry started dumping Flash like crazy, there are still some ActionScript programmers who are crying, ActionScript is much better than HTML5. Yes, in some ways, when you're building apps for the web browser, in some ways, yeah, ActionScript was better technically than HTML5, but overall, the market decided that ActionScript was not the way it was going to go, and it fell. So you can't just look at your personal taste and any technical advantages you may see in a particular language or framework. You have to look at the broader issues. You got to look at, well, you got to consider what you want to do. If you don't want to do a certain type of coding, don't do it. But you also have to look at the market, what the market is like out there for it. ActionScript was a fun language, but nobody uses it, hardly ever used anyway. So you wouldn't be wanting to get into that now, right? So there's no such thing as the perfect programming language. There's no such thing as the perfect integrated development environment. That's apps that are used to help write code. There's no perfect code editor. A lot of it is use case, personal taste, and market forces. Please consider these things. That's why I teach in my courses the fundamentals. Now, I, for example, teach certain types of coding with JavaScript. So I have my JavaScript course. Then I teach other principles of coding and programming in my Python course. And then I'll teach other principles of coding and programming in my PHP course. PHP, again, that's like the redheaded stepchild of programming today. You know, that's like the town bicycle that everybody has ridden, but nobody wants to admit they've ridden. PHP. PHP is the most widely used server-side programming language. It's got its warts, it's got its things that are kind of oof. So does JavaScript, so does Java. But PHP is still by far the most used server-side programming language when it comes to small businesses. That's just a fact. And then when people actually go out there and look at what the job opportunities are like, they realize, oh my God, there's a lot of PHP jobs. Not in all places, because it's geographical, as I mentioned in other videos. You may be in, I don't know, in California, you may find that there's tons of Python and C# jobs. And then you might go to Florida, you might find it's PHP and who knows, JavaScript. Or you might be in Eastern Europe, you may find it's a lot of Java. You know, you have to look at the local job markets in determining what language you want to concentrate on, assuming you want to work in your local job market. So try to think bigger than just the tech. Try to think bigger than just tech. Consider the use case, consider the job and market opportunities for the technology, the language or the API or the framework that you want to use, and also consider the type of programming that you want to do. Just because AI programming and Python can have big money, it may not be the type of programming you enjoy, because let me tell you, if you don't like the work that you're doing, it doesn't matter if you're making an extra 10 grand a year or 20 grand a year, whatever it is, you're going to hate it. That being said, just because the average Python person can make this much, doesn't mean if you're a PHP developer, you can't make just as much or much more if you work the PHP market properly. That means becoming a freelancer, that means maybe getting into WordPress development, maybe getting into shopping cart stuff, who knows. Anyway, it's just food for thought. There's no such thing as a perfect language. There's no such thing as a perfect car. There's no such thing as the perfect camera, even though this one's pretty good. All right, we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.